Hello peopleses! Have you ever started an SMP where at one point after you've killed the Ender Dragon, you give everybody access to creative mode? If so, then you know what follows. A couple weeks of giant impressive builds, and then, before anyone even notices, everyone has stopped playing. What if I told you that these two items that you have probably obtained in survival Minecraft have the exact same effect on your worlds, just slower? Transportation is a big part of Minecraft, especially on multiplayer. Creating ways of getting from one place to another quickly is essential for any multitude of reasons. Strongholds, ancient cities, or even your best friend's house can be hundreds or thousands of blocks apart. There are three main intended modes of transportation besides simply walking: minecarts, horses, and the elytra. I'm ignoring the nether highways because you can combine that with any of the other three. While horses and minecarts are easier to obtain, they pale in comparison to the absolute power of the elytra. Once you get an elytra, you have absolutely no need for building absolutely anything in between 2 points of interest. Not only is the elytra faster and has little to no obstacles, but once you have one, it's the cheapest mode of transportation to maintain. Think about it. A horse requires hours of breeding to get decent stats, and you have to either build a path or parkour over forests and go around lakes, rivers, and caves. A minecart rail requires a steady supply of iron, wood, gold, and redstone in order to even be functional. And the elytra? Oh, you just need some paper, gunpowder, and the occasional phantom membrane. Building large structures like rails and trails, that rhymes, while seemingly tedious, gives you the opportunity to explore the land and give yourself inspiration for builds in specific parts of the terrain. And plus, setting up huge infrastructure like that just looks cool in and of itself. People used to build them all the time, even after the elytra was added. So what changed? Why does the elytra break this part of Minecraft? Simply put, rockets. When the elytra was first added in 1.9, it functioned as a glider. You had to either jump off a tall structure to use it properly, or learn how to shoot yourself with a punch-2 bow. However, in 1.11.1, Mojang added the ability to propel yourself endlessly with nothing more than the simplest of rockets. Since then, it has been the undisputed king of travel. You can travel thousands of blocks in mere minutes and experience none of the Minecraft world below you. And you can take off from anywhere you want at any time. So, what's the solution? Do we just remove the rocket functionality? I don't think it's that simple. See, for one, people are used to being able to use the elytra as it is. And I mean, I'm not going to deny that it is extremely fun to zip around in the air with your wings and rockets. On a slight tangent, I believe that nerfs to the elytra would only be effective if combined with buffs and changes to the other two forms of transportation as well. But for this video, I'm just going to focus on the elytra. Leave a comment if you want me to make a similar video to this on how I would change the horses and minecarts. Anyways, back to the wings. Mojang themselves even attempted to nerf the elytra. Well, kind of. See, during the development of 1.18, both a nerf and a buff were tested in an experimental snapshot. Firstly, rockets could no longer bring you up to the max speed, and their duration was reduced. However, the elytra no longer took any damage from gliding. The only way to break your elytra was to use rockets. These changes were generally well received, and Mojang's main reason for implementing them was to hinder how quickly a player could force a server to generate new chunks. However, Mojang reverted the changes one snapshot later, stating that performance issues should not be solved by limiting what the player can do. Not only do I think these changes should be implemented, as I believe performance is not the only problem this would be fixing, but I dare to take it a step further. Like I said earlier, it is extremely easy to obtain an infinite supply of rockets. Fueling the most overpowered transportation in Minecraft should be way more expensive. I propose that rockets should only function as elytra fuel when crafted using some new item that would be obtained solely in the end. Not only would this make the utility and cost of using the elytra closer in line to the other transportation methods, but it would also incentivize players to make more permanent areas in the end, a dimension which most Minecraft players would agree needs more content. Even with these changes, the elytra is still a force to be reckoned with, especially once it's fully enchanted, and that brings me to the second item. Minecraft has a progression system as iconic and simple as it gets. Everyone knows it. Get some wood, make a wooden pickaxe. Get some stone, make stone tools. Get some iron, make iron tools and armor. Get diamond, make diamond tools and armor. And, as of recently, upgrade your diamond stuff to netherite. There are two main advantages to upgrading your tools and gear. One, better tools do their job faster, and two, better tools last a longer time. Frick off, gold tools. The longer your tools last, the longer you can go without having to replace them. But for the longest time, every tool had an expiration date. At one point or another, your maxed out diamond pickaxe would break, and you would have to return to the mines. You would have to brave the deepest and darkest crevices of the world, searching for that sweet, sweet blue shine. Durability made you have to take risks in caves or grind in a strip mine, and for most people, that's one of the most enjoyable parts of the game. Hell, I'm willing to bet that you, yes you, watching this video right now, have at some point gotten bored of a world and started a new one in order to feel the thrill once again of braving the caves with nothing to mid-tier armor. If you remove durability as a factor, then that entire part of the game, at some point, becomes unnecessary. What's the point of mining for diamonds if they're just gonna sit in your e-chest until your world is deleted? The spoils of caving become dull if you don't need them. That's why the second item that I claim breaks Minecraft is the mending book. Similarly to the elytra, this wasn't always a problem, even after the item itself was introduced. See, when it was added in 1.9? I swear I did not remember that both of the items I was going to talk about were added in the same update until researching it to write this script. Anyways, when it was added in 1.9, and even to this day, there are only 3 ways of obtaining an item enchanted with mending: looting places, villagers, and fishing. This causes mending, despite being overpowered, to usually be extremely rare. You would have to pick and choose which of your tools were valuable enough to you to where you would spend your only mending book on it. Villagers with mending were extremely hard to come by, as villager traits were locked in the moment they were generated along with the world. However, this would all change 5 updates later. 1.14, the Village and Pillage update, completely reworked the villager trading system. And, let me be clear, this was a great update. It breathed new life into the villages and made them more dynamic. Now, any villager could get any profession based on a block that it had access to, and if they were never traded with, their trades could be reset an infinite amount of times. That's where the problem comes in. You see, librarians not only have the option to sell you treasure enchantments, which is a category of enchantments deemed too overpowered to exist in the enchantment table, but they can sell them to you in their first slot of trading. Which means that once you have 1 villager and 1 lectern, all you have to do is replace the lectern a couple dozen times until he shows you the book you want. Thanks to this, every single Minecraft world I've played since 1.14 has had mending within the first few hours of gameplay, essentially making the entire progression system a short one-way path instead of the looping challenge it used to be. Once again, the problem is rooted in balancing the rarity of the item. There are a few possible fixes for this, the most drastic of which would be to simply remove mending from possible villager trades. However, I doubt anyone would like that. If enchanting were to be simply overhauled completely, which I have heard multiple people suggest, then that opens the door to some rebalancing. However, I believe that there's a solution that already exists in-game. This solution comes in the form of the Fletcher. See, the Fletcher sells tipped arrows. However, they remain locked as a final trade, which means that you can't even check if it sells tipped arrows, much less what type of tipped arrows, until you spent a large amount of time maxing out the villager. If librarians were to limit treasure enchants to a possibility for their last trade and exclude those enchants from their first book trade, then obtaining these books would once again be a feat that requires effort. I believe that this is the most realistic solution to mending being too common. However, it does not get rid of the issue entirely. See, once you have 1 villager with a mending book, you have infinite mending books. Emeralds are so easy to stockpile that this solution would simply delay having the exact same effect as before in this world. So maybe combining this with also making treasure enchants a trade that cannot be restocked after a certain number of times would be a good idea. The book would still technically be farmable, you would just need to max out more villagers. I doubt many people would like this change, as it would incentivize extremely tedious grinding, but I think it would be the best solution, at least until Mojang decides to rework enchanting. What do you think? Does the elytra and mending break Minecraft? If so, what solutions do you propose? I would love to hear all your suggestions in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and drop a like. I've heard it helps the algorithm. Thanks for watching. I'll, I don't know, see you in the next video, I guess. I need to work on my outros.